Okay, so we're going to start. Hi, my name is John Bishop, and I'm here with my good friend, Dr. Nancy Flournoy, and Hiroko and Eddie and Yasko today. So thank you for coming. And before we start with Nancy, if I could just have everybody mute their mics and everything, and you can keep your photos up there fine, or if you want to stop video, that's fine as well. So what we're going to do is I'm first going to share my screen and show a little bit of an introductory video. It's very short that this one person put out, which I thought was very good. So I'll bring that up now. Okay. I'll have to find it. Sorry about that. Okay. Here we go. And I'll bring up it a little bit bigger here. Okay, here we go.
To today's video. In a moment, I'm going to show you all you need to know about Energy Enhancer. Okay, how would you like to wake every day feeling refreshed and with an increase of energy and endurance to help you get through the day? Well, in this video today, I'm show you how Energy Enhancer patches can help you achieve this so you can have a perfect day. Okay. Sustained energy with no caffeine, drugs or stimulants. Before starting LifeWave in 2004, our founder and CEO, David Schmidt, was already compelled to answer one persisting question: how can people sustain energy without using drugs, stimulants, or caffeine? The answer led to the development of Energy Enhancer, the first patch we ever developed, and the foundation of our patented technology. Energy Enhancer release makes national news. Shortly after Energy Enhancer was released, David was introduced to renowned women's swimming coach Richard Quick of Stanford University. Just 3 weeks after providing the patches to his team, 6 of its 8 members broke their personal lifetime records. Stanford team members were then spotted wearing the patches during the Olympic swimming trials, propelling LifeWave into the national media spotlight. As a result, over 1,000 people came forward to become LifeWave distributors. Since that time, Energy Enhancer has helped people around the globe go further, run faster, climb higher, and embrace each day with renewed stamina and vigor. A safe, more effective alternative to other energy products, Energy Enhancer will make you forget you ever hit that late afternoon wall again. What is acupressure? Acupressure is an ancient healing practice based on the principle that energy flows through the body in specific patterns. Further, that when the body is under stress, many of its meridians, energy channels, and organs can fall out of balance. Acupressure gently stimulates specific points on the body, acupressure points, to restore this balance. How our patches work. Each LifeWave patch uses principles of acupressure to gently stimulate points on the body that restore balance and improve energy flow, providing a specific health benefit. The result is a natural way of promoting health without drugs, stimulants, chemicals, or needles entering the body. Energy Enhancer Study Results 2006, revised in 2011. This study confirms that Energy Enhancer has significant metabolic effects, which increase energy, stamina, and performance. These results include a substantial improvement in maximum aerobic capacity. Read the full study on Energy Enhancer patches on our website. Acuscope and skin conductance along meridians before and after LifeWave energy patches in 2009. Did you know? It should come as no surprise that 83% of adults drink coffee on a regular basis, and the conventional thinking is that moderate caffeine consumption is not considered a health risk. But the most recognized coffee chains offer beverages in multiple sizes, and that's where the line is often crossed. For example, some large coffee options contain as much as 436 milligrams of caffeine, which is more than you'll find in a whopping 12 cans of soda. Drinking too much caffeine can cause irritability, heartburn, and a fast heart rate, just to name a few. And many popular energy drinks are far worse when it comes to ingredients. Not only do they contain high caffeine and sugar levels, but they're also infused with excessive amounts of taurine, which can cause serious side effects when consumed in large quantities. Alarmingly, the amount of people hospitalized because of energy drink consumption doubled between 2007 and 2011, from 10,068 to 20,783 by 2014, more than 10% of emergency room visits by people aged 12 or older involving energy drinks resulted in hospitalization. We can all use a little boost of energy in our daily lives, and these patches are a safe, effective alternative with no caffeine, drugs, or stimulants. Hey, that's the end of this video, so hope you liked my video. In the next video, I'm going to show you why carnosine patches, clinically shown to increase stamina by up to 100.
Okay, all right. So that was a little kickoff video for this webinar that Nancy's going to jump into. So I want to thank you again, and we'll just have this turned over to Nancy right now. Okay, Nancy, take it away.
Well, thank you, John. Thank you for hosting these. You need to enable my screen sharing.
Okay, I think it's good now.
Okay. You can all see the screen now, I hope. I'm Dr. Nancy Flournoy, Professor Emeritus, Distinguished Professor Emeritus from the University of Missouri. I spent my research career developing designs, new techniques, new ways to do clinical experimentation. I'm a professor of statistics. I've worked with scientists for decades. I hadn't not kept current with the kinds of science that have gone into these patches. And so I have really found it a lot of fun to look at each patch, like each of LifeWave's patch individually, and read the research and learn what remarkable things that David, the CEO, has done for all of us. So today we're looking at the Energy Enhancer patch, and the slide I start with here has the picture of the sleeve that the little patches come in. There are actually 30 pairs of patches to get you through a month. Here's a little picture of the patches with a scale to show you that they're just the size of a little Band-Aid. And then the items that the company claims on their brochure. So the Energy Enhancer patch is clinically proven to increase energy and endurance, supports a physical fitness routine, convenient and easy to use, fast results, patented proprietary form of phototherapy, no drugs, chemicals, or stimulants, some of that you just heard about. So what we want to do is kind of go through at a deeper level, more of the biochemistry, the physics, the underlying aspects of what goes on behind these patches. But to start with, we can't resist, as the video did, starting with the sports. And so here's a recent picture that the company put out where you have all of these Olympic athletes. And if you look carefully, and you don't have to look that carefully if you know what you're looking for, here's those patches on the shoulders, patch on the belly, patch on the third eye. You can see that the sports industry is picking up, or the sports professionals are picking up on the patches. Now, recently, Michaela Bergenescu was cited wearing a LifeWave patch, and this was during her match with Venus Williams at the Wimbledon. So that was the most recent of many that are now utilizing the energy that they can get from the LifeWave patch. On the right side of this patch, it tells the story of the Stanford team, which you have just heard in the video, so I won't repeat it. Now, So one of the things I've done in reading all the papers is learn about some of the scientists that the LifeWave company has had actually study the patches. And two of these scientists are Thomas and Helen Brzezinski, who Thomas has passed on, but they both held positions at the University of Washington, which is, you may know that I'm currently living in Bellingham, Washington. So it's right down the street, and the University of Washington is my alma mater. So I get a nice warm feeling when I read about the work that the two of them have done. So here's some details. So one of the first things they say, so one of the things that's interesting in going through the energy patch research is that these early studies, the scientists talked more about the patch and the patch technology in general, and still about how it did things clinically, but we get some underlying information into some suggestions as to how David's mind was working and what he was thinking about when he designed these. So we're told here that they're developed through designing stereoisomers to influence specific photoreceptors in the body. Well, if you've been studying the patches at all, you know that the body's light goes out and gets reflected back at just certain frequencies, get reflected back to do certain things. And so what we're learning about in this sentence is that what is placed on the patch is a stereoisomer, and then you have to say, well, what's a stereoisomer? And so Google's wonderful. An isomer is a compounds, different compounds that have the same formula. So here's an example. Here we have 4 carbons and 8 hydrogens. And when the chemists draw pictures like this, the black lines always, the corners of the black lines always refer to carbon atoms, because that's the backbone of everything that's living in the human organism. And then, so here, like we have the 4 carbons at the corners, and then the hydrogens are going to hang off the ends. And here you have a triangle, so you're going to have carbons hanging off the ends, the 2 corners here, and then off the ends sticking out. And so you can arrange these carbons. Here they call it a double bond. You can arrange the 4 carbons in different configurations and hang the 8 hydrogens off them, and in every case you have 4 carbons and 8 hydrogens, but they look very different and they can behave very differently. So what's a stereoisomer? Well, it's an isomer where the only difference between them is the spatial orientation. So you can rotate it or twist it or somehow get from one form of the molecule to another without actually changing the way they're hooked together. So well, now we know David's using stereoisomers, so that's a hint. And with the energy enhancer, the aim of the light coming back into the body is to promote ATP production, and in particular, ATP production occurs in the mitochondria, and he's looking particularly at the mitochondria of muscle cells. And by increasing the ATP production in the muscle cells, he intends to increase the metabolism and therefore increase the way you have energy and use energy. So here's another thing that I've seen on and off that David uses a number of things like the acupuncture sites. So you know that he's got homeopathy, he's got the meridians and acupuncture in mind. He also refers to refers to homeopathy and a few other techniques, which we'll say a little bit more about as we go along. So with respect to homeopathy, see, you get a hint here where it says the things on these patches, these stereoisomers, are going to reflect the light to match specific frequencies of the cells that are targeted. So this sounds like homeopathy. You're going to, in only not chemical, you're not taking something and putting it in your mouth, or you're instead reflecting like with light. And so we're gonna, the light that's being reflected into the body is going to match the frequency of the cells that are being targeted. Okay, well, that's pretty cool. And then in particular, it tells us with the energy enhancer patches that these are the three things that, if I understand this correctly, it's the frequency of these three molecules that the patches are matching. So one is ATP, adenosine triphosphate, one is calcium, and one is acetylcholine. And so those are the things that are intended to be released. And I put up here at the top this exclamation point that we're talking about ATP energy and not adrenaline. Because I don't know about you, but when I think about energy, you think of energy drinks and you think of things that are going to get you pumped up and revved up and your heart racing and you're ready to go. But the energy, if you haven't experienced it, you've really missed something, because the energy patches are a calm, cool, what's called scalar energy. It's you could say a pure energy. I take the patches and put them on nightshades and put them on the nightshades and put the nightshades over my eyes and wear them at night. And it's a calming effect. It's soothing, and the energy you feel going through the day, you got a little glimpse of it in the video that was shown. You had the young woman who just looked like she felt great. She wasn't revved up, she wasn't crazy looking, and although I'm glad the Olympic athletes are using the patches to excel, the energy patches are really good for just feeling like ideally you would think you would like to feel. They're marvelous. So this is a really busy slide. I just want to emphasize that we're taking light in. I'm not a biophysicist, so I'm don't entirely understand myself how all this works, but we have a little picture here of where you have an action potential. That's like light. You have a signal coming down this nerve cell, and here's the bottom of the nerve, and the stuff below it is the muscle. And when acetylcholine gets released, which is one of those things that where the patch is sending a light signal, like when it gets released, it stimulates the ends of the ending tissue of the muscle here, which excites this release of calcium. This release of calcium then connects with this molecule, this thing that looks like a string of beads called troponin, and that regulates the calcium that goes into the muscle, and the muscle ends up getting the message and contracting. So that's kind of the chain of events that LifeWave has intended to occur with the patch. And over here we have a little picture of what the the smallest functional unit of the muscle tissue looks like. So that's what they're aiming at a really, really fine molecular level. So here's a quote from one of the studies, which is also is interesting along these same lines. That is, we're talking about the materials that go into the patch. And so Dr. Haltewalger tells us that these materials match the resonant frequency, the resonant frequencies of biological components involved in mitochondrial energy production. So that's sort of the same thing we heard before, but it's being reiterated by this scientist. And I put up a little picture of ATP production coming out the bottom here, and you can find lots of these on the web. So I don't mean to go through it, but just again to say that it's one or more of these components in this process that the light waves are designed to send out the same frequency as what is in here. And maybe we'll learn more details as we hear more talks and more information come out of LifeWave. So Dr. Nazarin, who's done a lot of studies, I think he's got a study for every patch that's come out, describes this process of change. What happens to these stereoisomers? Remember, the stereoisomers are what are on the patch. And so when they're dissolved in water, they behave like a liquid crystal. And we also hear David talk a lot about liquid crystals, usually in the sense of water is what I have heard. But now, and in fact, you know, so now we're seeing that when the stereoisomer, well, when it's dissolved in water, it's going to behave like a liquid crystal. And I suppose if that's the case on the patch, then it's going to also be the case when these same frequencies get in the body. So what I'm guessing is that when the light gets into the body, it connects with the water, it starts to behave like a liquid crystal. And when we talked about collagen, all of that fits together. So I won't go into the collagen story today. But what we have are these nano-sized crystals that are going to act as a semi-conducting biomolecular antenna. Okay, so here we have now antenna that are capable of interacting with our electromagnetic field. So there we go. We have a model for how the patches are going to transmit information into the body. And another thing in this collection of papers is you know, we keep hearing from LifeWave that if you are listening to the material that LifeWave puts out, you are hearing that nothing gets into the body from the patch. And the to the study tested that fact, that showed that there was no, that nothing migrated into the body from the patch. And so along the lines of this idea that we're going to take like things, like frequencies, and match the frequencies that we want to, we want match the frequencies of things we want to stimulate in the body. There's this quote from Hippocrates, which it is usually given in the context of homeopathy, but it is really relevant here. And what Hippocrates says is like cures like. By similar things, a disease is produced, and through the application of the like is cured. So again, I find these things as, kind of just intriguing little snippets of views into what has gone into the production of the LifeWave patches. So I'm not going to go through this. I think I'm talking too much. But this is Dr. Nazarin's paper. He spends quite a bit of time talking about how important the LifeWave patches are in the general field of energy medicine. And he talks about the fact that that one shouldn't be surprised that there is a lot of intercommunication within our bodies. I think when I was young, people sort of just really thought that the nerve cells did all the communicating, and what is becoming more apparent through the research of biophysicists more than medical researchers is that we have a lot of rhythms and we vibrate and everything oscillates, and that all of this energetic activity plays a role in communication within our body. And the meridians are the oldest form of communication that's long been recognized outside of our nerve cells. And he goes on, this Dr. Nazarin goes on and talks about how there's been a lot of work to try and explain what's happening with the meridians from an electrical point of view. And he concludes that it's generally been without success. That is to explain it in terms of electricity. You talk about impedance, the electricity gets stopped or started and goes and comes. And he's saying that the acupuncture model really is not well explained by electricity alone. And then sort of this is said in the same context as this comment we just made, well, comment at the top, that there's a lot of things going on that are energetic, not necessarily electrically energetic, or not measured by common electrical instruments that can be part of the communication strain. And a lot of that then goes to the fact that what we can prove is really dependent on what we can measure and what kind of instruments we have. And over again, in going through these various papers, we see, LifeWave, reaching out for the right equipment to measure what it is that they're trying to influence, so that you can in fact know if you get the result you're looking for. So here is one piece of equipment called a Auramed Biopulsar Reflexograph. And so it involves a whole bunch of leads, and they use gold-plated pegs, and they go into this big discussion about gold being the best conductor. And, we're trying to measure subtle energies, not, so you need to do fine, careful work to pick up the signals. And so this particular piece of equipment, which you can go online and, I don't know, it's like you can get what I'm going to show you some pictures, but you can get something done for yourself for it was like $20 or $30. I thought it was going to be enormous, but it wasn't. So here we're going to, for each chakra, it'll measure how it's functioning. and whether it's depleted to low on a scale up to 100%. And they look at 49 different organ systems in the body. And that's a lot of information. And here's a before and after using the energy patch. Just one example. And on the left, we have the before, and on the right is 4 hours after patching. And on the left, we have these dark purple blotches, which are indicate energy blockages. And on the right, everything's smoothed out energetically and is more in balance. And this same machine then, I know you can't read this, but I'll just show you. I mean, these are like the 49 different organs up here. So you have, I can't even read it, but you have the 49 different organs, and they produce these graphs, again, before on the left and right on the right. I can see this one's the thyroid. And what it shows, so the green line is normal. That's where you'd like to be in balance. And on the left, you see red lines that are above and below and every which way. And on the right, sometimes they're a little above and below, but they pretty much go up and stay really nice and steady and smooth and constant. They're not continuing to wiggle around. So so that's cool. There's this other piece of equipment called an Acuscope. And this piece of equipment was used to look at conductance along the meridians, not with your common electrical leads. This is the Acuscope measures low frequencies at a deeper level. So you have the regular skin conductance measurement, and then you have the one with the special equipment that that measures the subtle energy at a deeper level. And so they did a study at 4 different acupuncture points to look at changes. And I'll show you some pictures. So on the left here, we have a pair of histograms, each pair. So we have 4 different sets, one for each acupuncture site. And the 2 bars, say here for the lung, on the left is pre-patching and on the right is post-patching. And you can see that the conductance, the ability of the electricity to go through at this site is increased after patching at all 4 sites. And this is for the normal conductance measures. And the kidney is the only site that was not statistically significant. But it's increased on average, and so I don't see, I guess the number of subjects is hidden behind this other box, but I'm sure all the studies that LifeWave has done are pretty small, and they could all be helped by having a lot more subjects, or by having some other interested scientists come in and add to this body of knowledge. But that be as it may, here what they did is when they did these 4 different sites, they randomized which one was going to be done first. And so what you saw before was by site and everything was randomized. Now you see by the order in which they did the testing, and you've got the different sites averaged together. And what you see when you look at this is that, again, the post-testing is higher than the pre-testing on average here everywhere. But also, I forget what the difference, the distance between these measurements were, but for each subsequent reading of the, you know, the longer they had the patch on, so it may have been on site 1 first, and then it was on site 2, and then it was on the acupuncture point 3. And as they kept going, the energy kept getting higher and higher, regardless of which site they were using. Now, these are the same 2 sets of histograms again, except now instead of looking at the regular conductance, we're looking at this Acuscope, which measures a deeper level of transference. And now I've got this that they're different, but I think this is wrong. I think when you look at the pictures, you can see there's not much difference here, and kidney actually goes the wrong way. If I remember this correctly, and I'm sorry about this, that there was actually not a difference. I mean, maybe for lung 1, but what I remember from reading the paper is that when they actually looked at the conduction of energy at a deeper level, they did not find it. Did not find that that was significant. So I will have to go back and look at that. And you can see here with the time, this is now looking at the order of measurement, and you know, it's up and down, it's not consistent. So that actual way of looking at, so the conclusion there is that, at least to a matter of degree, the energy is moving closer to the skin. It's more at a surface level than a deep level. So Helen and Thomas made these conclusions that are interesting, that this research with the energy patches is closing the gap of information about how the body works and how its bioelectromagnetic activity works. And the way they were measuring it was beginning to, was seen to follow the tracings of the meridians from the acupuncture sites, whereas the electrical studies that were done before did not. So they conclude that the patches are doing what they were designed to do. And then I was sort of surprised to see that they also then talked about the Bohan ducts, which we have talked about in a previous paper, but until reading this LifeWave literature, I had not heard of before. And so I want to repeat a couple of slides here about this being sort of a new way to think about the transmission of information throughout the body. Grounds for the physical basis, the meridian system. So here on the left on this picture, we have a lymph duct, and there's a little arrow here and you can't see a thing. But when they use a special dye, which you see on the right, it turns red. And this is what is being called, which is the Bohan duct, which some recent authors renamed, which is why it's called PVS here. And then if you look at these organs, you can see that there are pictures of these ducts surrounding these organs. And these ducts, just a brief summary for the record, which you can look at the details later, but the person who found these ducts is a Dr. Bogan Kim, for whom they were named, and he found them in 1963, but he was in North Korea, and so it took some scientists in South Korea to pick up on his research, which I haven't read all the papers yet, but it's like 2005. It's like, you know, we're talking about 40 years later. Some scientists in South Korea and in Italy pick up on this research and confirm the findings that in fact these ducts exist, and they study it some more. And then in the green down here, we get what Thomas and Helen have to say about it, which is that this mounting verification of the Bolgang ducts reveals the structural network, which possibly is the transport system for photonic and bioelectrical activity. I mean, yeah, I was really excited to see this because even though I've just only recently heard that these ducts existed, this was the first reference I had seen to them from scientists in well-established US university research settings. And again, the research in this area tends to be, well, the research on these ducts is, from what I can tell, almost exclusively in departments of physics and bioenergy, biophysics, and not in the medical profession. So there's a lot of more research and communication to happen for this system to be explained. So now, you know, a lot of that was just on how the whole patch system is working. With respect to energy, we have a paper here by Clark where we're looking at heat maps, actually measuring the temperature of the body. And on the left, we have pre-patching. On the right, we have post-patching. And you can see the reds go to the more greens and yellows, which shows the cooling off. The circle is the patch here. So there's a patch right to the left of the navel, unless that's the person's back, I can't tell, which is virtually all green after the patching. And this is just patching for a short period of time. And then on the right, the patch is up on the shoulder. And again, there's a lot of change from the temperature reduction is dramatic and consistent. So the idea was to produce energy, but there are like 3 or 4 studies that show secondary gains from this attempt. And again, I think, you know, what they try to do is find the equipment that's available to measure things that are that can possibly, you know, that can pick up on what's going on with these patches. And in the case of the energy patches, they are like 3 different down here. All the studies can be, all of the LifeWave studies can be found on the LifeWave website or my website, which is given at the end of this talk. So these 3 studies all involve heart variability, and they show that during rest, the patches, so the patches all reduce the ratio of low to high vibrations in the heart. And during rest, this has the effect of enhancing relaxation. So that's where I think, you know, I talked to you about the eye patches and, you know, how calm my eyes feel after I put the patches on when I go to bed. And then during exercise, it enhances the activity level. So this made me feel, it gave me a little bit of an explanation as to how my feeling so calm and relaxed was consistent with going out and running a marathon. Very amazing result. And then Thomas and Helen Brzezinski end up by describing so the energy patches were designed to increase ATP energy, but they point out that it is also a model for anti-aging. And this then becomes reminiscent of other talks that we've heard, or you may have heard from LifeWave itself. So they mentioned that that virtually all aging populations see a decline in mitochondrial function, both at rest and in exertion. And that traditionally, this was thought to result from the fact that the mitochondria just started decaying and getting old. And Frank Stallenberger, who is an author on one of the papers, one of the LifeWave papers, I found a paper of his in 2009 where he studied healthy subjects to refute that, that whole concept of the mitochondria. And so he has a patented method to measure mitochondrial functional dynamics. And he measures respiratory oxygen uptake and carbon dioxide and through an algorithm, an analysis of those, he comes up with measurements of ATP generation, fatty acid metabolism, and glucose metabolism. Now, one of the things that LifeWave stresses about the energy patch is that it increases the metabolism of fatty acids, doesn't go, not just your muscles, or not predominantly your muscles. And we'll see a slide, some results on that in just a second. So with this technology, he verified that a decrease in energy production exists long before any signs of evidence of mitochondrial delay and or aging occurs. And I think this is why so many people found so many great results before the X39 patch was developed. That is that by just increasing their energy production, they got just general health and well-being benefits way beyond, again, just being able to run a marathon. So Dr. Schallenberger proposed that it's this early decrease in energy production that's ultimately responsible for observed mitochondrial decay that's associated with aging. And I like to stress this because I think with all the emphasis on the marathon runners, somebody might think that the energy patch is not for me, but the energy patch is for everybody. And I often put them on before going to bed to work on healing, as well as, during the day if I'm going to go dance or something, so that I have the active energy that I want. So looking at these, this is now the joint study between Doctors Hallenberger and Nazarin, and they use this piece of equipment that Dr. Hallenberger had to measure and then analyze the oxygen uptake and the carbon dioxide production. And they looked at both resting and exertion conditions and before and after the patch. And these, all these items that I just read that this piece of equipment measures were significantly increased after 1 week. And again, I will emphasize that it's the fatty acid metabolism that that not only the overall ATP was increased, but the ATP from fatty acid metabolism was increased. And so these observations are another way that has confirmed that the patches do impact mitochondrial function. This is probably the most clear and specific study that demonstrates that mitochondrial function is impacted, as opposed to sort of a secondary view of it. So these are studies that are on the LifeWave website, and the link can be found here. You can look at it. You can look at these slides later when they get to be online or on YouTube. And LifeWave, of course, would like to emphasize that they're not making claims about curing this or that disease, that these are wellness patches for your well-being, and there is no, that if you have a medical problem, you should talk to your doctor about it. And I would like to conclude by saying this is a safe and effective alternative to other energy products. It's going to make you forget that late afternoon wall hit, and that's what was said in the video as well. And we may talk a little about these patches together as I finish here, but I'll say I wear them very, very often. I think I've got 3 sets on me right now because I put one on my lower body, one on my upper body. And then as I was dancing, I got a great big knot in my leg this morning. So I put a couple patches there. I put them on my husband, I put them on my cat, and my website is listed here at the bottom. And I thank you all for listening.
Thank you, Nancy. Very good. That was wonderful. I was just going to kind of open it up for everybody does anybody have a really good testimony that they'd like to share? Linda?
Well, gosh, first I want to say, Nancy, what an amazing presentation of some very complex information. I mean, I think that it's helpful to know that there are some mechanisms that explain why I feel so gosh darn good. So that's the thing, is that when I have so many friends, family, clients, patients that have used these and it's made such a difference. And it's hard to like shoot an x-ray at them and go, this is why you feel better. These subtle ways of measuring are really what we have. And aside from tracking to see how people do. And that's why I just want to say, for me, if you know me, I'm Dr. Goggin from Feel Good Functional Medicine. But when I started to wear the patches, I couldn't even imagine running a mile, right? And after about a month of using the patches, I was like, I feel like I maybe could run because I have terrible arthritis in my foot. And now I can, I'm running 9 and 10 miles pretty regularly. And that's a miracle for me. And, I have clients who have used and I always use the energy enhancers whenever I'm going to take a long run. And I have clients who have had the same experience with just being able to gradually feel more normal, more like themselves, the way that they have felt before. And it's very exciting. And, Nancy, for those of you who don't know, Nancy introduced me to the patches. And I'm so grateful. Thank you very, very much. And I just appreciate you going through this tough science. I mean, it's a lot. And, but I think that the main thing is that they are so helpful. At least that's what I've seen. So thanks. I'm gonna have to sign off though, guys. I've got a 5 o'clock meeting, but I'm sending you all a hug, and I will see you next week at 4. Okay.
Thanks for joining in, Linda. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Linda.
Okay.
Yeah, it's, I wonder, because I know it is a mouthful and it is a lot of science, and I don't know, so I like learning the science and I like enjoying it, and I like trying to make it accessible to others as I'm trying to make it accessible to myself. So I know it won't be for everyone, but I hope that it helps those who, sort of want to look under the patches. I mean, I'll say too, I remember, what John said, I'd been using LifeWave patches for a year and 7 months. And it was 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. I don't know when it was, but I remember just the day I woke up in the morning and it was like being 14 years old again. I mean, it felt right. And you forget what it's like not to be dragging your body along, that it's just there. It's so wonderful. It's amazing.
Yeah, I want to let you guys know that on Monday I'm going to have meetings on Monday morning and invite anyone who wants to. We're going to be talking about how to share the patches and that kind of thing. So at 9 o'clock, I'll send out a Zoom link to you guys if you'd like to be part of it. Anyone is invited. Just so it'll be half an hour or less, short, 9 o'clock Pacific time, and trying to start that up again. So thanks again. Yeah. Thank you so much. It's wonderful.
Thanks, Linda. I'll be there for sure. Send me
Okay,
that
awesome.
link. Okay.
Woot, woot. Okay.
Right.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Linda. So I thought you can all unmute yourselves if anybody else would like to make a closing comments or anything, or if they'd like to share something. Doesn't even have to be a testimony, just anything at all. Just open it up to anybody. Well, with that, thank you very much then. Anybody else? Sure? No? Okay. All right. So everybody have a wonderful rest of your Saturday. I really appreciate you coming. And we'll be here next week, same time, same channel. Bring a friend. We really like to spread the wonderful news about LifeWave and all these patches that Nancy, of course, has gone to so much length to do some deep research into the clinical studies. And it's just amazing. I just really appreciate the work that she's done. So everybody give her a big hand.
Yeah, thank you. I've sort of been through the patches, each of the patches we've gone through once. And the second time around is going to be much better because it's a lot of material to try and absorb. And I know so much more now, and I know sort of who these researchers are and what to expect. So the second wave should be better. I'm looking forward to doing it.
Okay, great.
Thank you, John.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. All right, thanks everybody. Thanks, Hiroko. Thanks, Eddie. Thanks, Yasko. Thanks, Robin. Robin, I just think is this the first time you showed up at the webinar, Robin?
It is. They were introduced to me by Dr. Goggin.
Okay.
I am in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I am a Recode health coach. Mm-hmm. As you may know, or some of you may know what that is, reversing cognitive decline. Mm-hmm. And I work with about 9, maybe 10 functional medicine physicians around the country. And I have clients around the country too. So Dr. Linda is working with one of my clients and just trying to learn about this now. And it's fascinating to me. So I'm brand spanking new.
Oh, well, come back. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
awesome.
For sure. Thank you so much.
Okay.
We're late starting our dinner, but she told me about this not too long ago, and I looked at my phone. I was like, oh, it's a little late on a Saturday, but we're hanging in, and it's a little bit warm tonight, so we'll, I figure I'd jump on. And was wonderful presentation. I want to listen to it again, so I'm glad you're recording.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robin.
Bye bye.
Okay, everybody. Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.